The story starts as the goddess questioned a young highschool boy if he ponders about the idea of being transported to another world. It would see he would rejoice at getting a second chance in life, but that being said, picking up streaming as a hobby is not recommended in this world, and it's because, in this world, the very viewers you would gather attention as a bunch of thirsty and down bad yandere who would watch you over as you sleep unnoticed. We are introduced into the Atricia, a royal academy in the Rajia's kingdom. As the MC is heading to his student dorm room, he closed the door and readies himself as he sets the stream up once again. The MC enthusiastically announces his arrival and thanked his viewers for tuning into another livestream. It seems he started receiving chat/advice segment, the first one being Akuda as a B-rank adventurer. It seems the other day some guy joined their party and found the person to be a total amateur, only being able to use supportive magic, and as the leader he obviously kicked the guy out abruptly. As he announced his satisfactory on watching him cry, the MC questioned if he was stupid, as the guy they kicked out has amazing skills as scouting magic, helps avoid monster and will save them going to a repair shop, calling it handy. He also questioned his tone, calling him the a-hole word. He then judged him for his rash decision, as one day he would end up in trouble during their adventures cause he won't have any support to rely on. He gave him a word of advice, as a person who doesn't have proper judgment should resign now and not put the people around him in danger. Waiting until everyone is dead is selfish. The viewers hearing this calls him cheeky and is a refreshing take. It seems this was being broadcasted to 10,000 listening across the country. Shortly after he went over to the next letter, where he introduces himself of being a son of an upper-class family and is engaged. However, he fell in love with a cute transfer student and wanted to choose her instead of her fiancé. Hearing this made the MC to cry out his irritation about the situation, hoping he would die, and ends up marrying the MC instead. It seems the viewers laughed and wholeheartedly enjoy his rants. From the common folk to the kings and the demon realm he was heard and gave entertainment to. The MC rants on how lucky the viewer was for being engaged, as the MC cries out of wanting to have a girlfriend also. Shortly after the streams ends, where he finished another day, as he sits back he wonders if this is how streamers felt like in his previous life. It seems Kanata is a transfer student and was transported into this world. The next day arrives and the teacher was explaining about magic. As the MC was listening, it seems it has been a while ever since he was reincarnated. Despite being excited upon finding out the existence of magic, he shortly finds this to be nothing special. As after all he found out that he got unlimited power residing in his body. He quickly realized this power would affect his daily life. It seems he took the magic ranking exam and obtained the ranked S, earning him an enrollment on the Royal Academy, which is only for the richest nobles. However, it seems the nobility students doesn't take him lightly and exclaims that he doesn't belong here. It seems they don't like commoners very much, and no matter how one tries they can't change their social status. As the bullies gather around him, he decided to suck it up and be polite, trying to scurry himself away from the awkward situation. But this seemingly angered them even more, but a female student suddenly interrupted the altercation, as Maria Atarashi intervenes. It seems she arrived late and was understood by her instructors for being too busy helping around. The teacher suggests she performed for them today, but a fellow nobleman stood up for her sake. As he fired off his magic at the target, he casted a fire spell which he hit accurately. Shortly after, it was the MC's turn, and upon firing so a small flame came out, but the second it hit the target it was instantly blown into by a large explosion, giving him the worry of overdoing it as his fellow classmates watched in fear. The instructor praises them for their wonderful performance, and asks that they should execute individual training, but this left them to be anxious, having zero motivation. The bullies on the other hand called the MC out for cheating but was stopped by Maria. Hearing this made them scared, as she explains social status has nothing to do with the problem and people like the MC are special. She then displayed her strength, asking them to not their foolish pride get in the way. This made them to abide by her words, which she approached the MC next, complimenting him for the wonderful performance. The MC, whilst talking, could only see her status being part of the royal family. And as this goes on he keeps getting random glances from behind, but the princess made a point that social status are a joke. The MC doesn't seem to hear her words under her breath, but playful asks that he shouldn't go around provoking people, Despite this, he isn't the one who started the altercation in the first place. That night as he was streaming, he was reminded of how his setup used to be a work terminal that he got for free while enrolling here. It seems he had to do a lot of retinkering to upgrade this into something close to a personal computer. It seems this world had a network that linked terminal together. However, the majority of people didn't have access to technology or entertainment, but until now, it seems he used his limitless power to create something similar to a streaming site. And it seems if others tries to imitate this, they would lose power in a matter of minutes. Shortly after, he mentioned something awful today, as nobles and commoners seems to be in a clash frequently and fights about status never seems to end. He comments it would be nice if they could get along. His viewers seems to be quite divided on the matter at hand, but his attention suddenly dove towards a colored message. It seems this was a donation message, coming from an anonymous princess. 10 gold coins was immediately given to him, but he suddenly remembered that she also sent some yesterday. Commenting if she's stealing from her parents, but his doubts were cleared as it came from her own pocket, and she also wouldn't mind offering herself to be a candidate to be his lover. He hesitated for a bit but brushed it off as he wouldn't get exposed anyways. He wholeheartedly agreed jokingly, but this gave the anonymous princess the feeling of falling for the MC more and more. This made her feel loved and warm. She finds the streamer to be strange, appearing out of nowhere like a comet and captivating people with his charisma and influence. It seems he also saved a lot of people through his kind words and guidance, being bold and objective opinion towards any backlash. She suddenly got creepy, licking the phone magic device, as if the MC's voice entered his mind and every inch of her body being marked by the streamer. It seems she just doesn't want to support him financially but devote herself fully. She suddenly exclaims of wanting to live for him solely. It's then mentioned before that the MC streamer has amassed a large following in the country of Adarashia. And from here on out, more people with similarly terrifying yandere feelings would continue to appear one after another. However, Kanata is still completely unaware to the catalyst that will cause him to meet these fans, resulting in a major incident. As the story continues of Kanata still continuing with his activity as the only streamer in this other world, even though he experienced harsh treatment at school, it still lead to one outcome, as it started overflowing with yandere listeners that is down bad thirsty for him. Another day goes by, he finds it troublesome about the incident becoming more of a pain in the ass. But despite this, he would clear up his mood with his streaming at night. But as he was walking by, he managed to stumble upon the princess being confessed to. But she seemingly rejected the suitor, using the reason of already having found her own love, and as such there is already someone in her heart. Hearing this made the pretty cringe boy to run away crying. The MC ponders of having Maria would be his type, seeing her beautiful figure, but it's a shame for him as she already has a partner. Upon thinking of getting away from the scene, Maria approached him about listening in on others' conversation as the absolute lowest. She found him out due to his shadow being visible. He profusely apologized, but Maria clears up the misunderstanding that it was just a joke. Hearing his voice made her find this to be familiar but points it out for being her imagination. As night falls, it seems it's another hype stream for Kanata as the princess tuned in once again. Maria hearing the streamer's voice made her go crazy, obsessive and happy. As donations pour in, the streamer felt guilty as he is happy enough to receive, but it shouldn't go way over much, as they should also think about themselves. As the first letter was read, the topic suddenly became heavy, as the demons are a race that should be wiped out as common knowledge. But for the streamer, he doesn't seem to get the point anymore, questioning if the idea of living together in peace is so bad for the common folk. For him, coexistence seems viable, as the more fighting and war goes on, the more suffering both sides can have. He hasn't met any demons yet, but wonders if they have intelligence to not see humans as enemies, as even among humans there should be a bunch of those who wants to get along without fighting. The comments seems divide, calling this topic taboo, and wonders if he was a traitor to humanity. He also bash as there are enough bad guys under those who talk about the savageness of demons as well. Hearing this made Princess Maria talked about slaves, as he seemingly also mentioned something like this as well. We transition to the pasts, where the young lady came across a slave trading place where all kinds of harsh treatment and uncivilized practices occur. This slave market seems to what she was interested in. She mentioned that slavery is a thing of the past, questioning if they could do anything about it. Her butler reveals that some nobles and ministries still partake behind closed doors of the slave markets, thus makes it difficult for them to revise the law. The butler suddenly hands a magic radiophone as there is someone out there who can give advice to those who lose their way. It seems he pushed the princess to listen and asks him about an opinion. Wanting to find a solution from the streamer, it seems he gave a surprised reaction as slavery still exists in this country. He pointed out slaves are still people at the end of the day, and to take their right to live is the absolute worst. He pointed out his social status being low in the ladder, but for a princess she could try with her power, thought regardless she might still stumble with those old regulations, but if she were to move now, lives could be saved, and he looks forward to those reforms. Hearing this made her courage and the bold idea to head to the king, her father, immediately. Soon enough Maria the princess brought the country into movement, sharing the idea with her father and slowly eradicating slavery through thorough enforcement to prevent its recurrence, which resulted in no more suffering for the slaves. Maria still believes in the personality of streamer showing her way, claiming that discrimination is a detriment to peace, which she wants to act as a mediator between commoners and nobles. She suddenly heard a notification from the stream chat where they are fighting over who would be the best person matched for streamer. Seeing this comment struck a nerve in the princess, fighting over him and donating as much as she can. Streamer, seeing this, became wary of their actions. Although flattered, he points out not being a fan of nuisance listeners and dislike people who quarrel where everyone is watching. This made her feel despair, as it seems he hates her, as she started crying. Streamer assures of forgiving them if they understood on getting along well with one another. He suddenly mentioned of getting along with the demons and wonder what does the Demon King looks like, sharing his curiosity with his listeners. This made his listening shocked, frozen, and comments that he shouldn't talk about that sensitive topic, but it seems he didn't comment much on it and wants to see a world with humans and demons living peacefully together. A sudden donation chat suddenly went through claiming he was an interesting human and claims of thinking more forward as well. Despite this comment, he remains unaware that he had touched a taboo of this world. Before the streamer's controversial statements, the Demon Kingdom King was already getting rid of humans, sending them away to a warp portal. This seemingly bothersome moments went on for centuries on end. The king ponders if this was truly the right choice for them. And it seems she is one of the MC's admirers. It seems the Demon King is highly regarded to be bold and beautiful, but in her mind she ponders what is the common sense until now in the demon realm. She suddenly got called out by her subordinates as the adventurers that were sent away earlier, dropping a valuable weird-looking item. It seems this handheld magic device has the name Streamer. Her subordinates explained that the humans used this to listen to him, although it seems it has a problem due to the location not having any signal. The Demon King finds this interesting as it might be useful to gather info, thus she put out an order to go something useful to get this signal they speak of. After the setup was done, she didn't seem to bother checking it out but finds it useful to kill time. A few days later, as she was listening, it seems she answered and exclaims her mind. Hearing this made her embarrassed, wondering why she answered, as it's just a one-way for the streamer, but as time goes by, it went from just killing time to the streams becoming her daily routine. Her interest suddenly peaked when she questioned what is his identity, having a large enough magic power to spread his voice all over the country. In other words, it's a human more powerful than her. She finds Streamer really interesting, but she suddenly got shocked hearing his words of why humans and demons fight each other, as it's just a baseless and meaningless war where the death counts increased for both sides. Hearing this shocked her, as the MC has the same opinion as her. It seems the MC shared his opinion of having their leaders have peace talks and start from there, but then goes on to question what he should have for dinner. The Demon King, hearing this, chuckled, calling him a fool. But from then on, Sharuza had begun seeing him as a comrade. Back to the present day. It seems she was the one who are fighting over donating a huge lump sum of money. She exclaims the same of being his personal wallet, and goes head over heels crazy for him. She expressed her happiness, which is similar to a certain other princess completing her transformation into a Yandere. It seems she was also the one who was fighting over the nameless princess and quarreling towards her in the streamer's chat. It also seems she'd overheard the streamer wanting to see the face of the Demon King and wanting to find out what the does she looks like. She shortly replied like a Reddit mod stance of wanting to try and visit the demon realm. She then had the urgent matter that day, but first she took a bath pondering on wanting to have the faceless child of humanity all by herself. She sees herself as the demon lord in existence that rules over many, however she seems to not find it bothersome to let streamer the MC rule over her body. As she dipped in the bath her thoughts get lost, resulting in becoming dizzy thinking about some dirty thoughts. Shortly after, it seems she wanted to meet and see streamer's face, pondering what she must do to grant her wish. As she stands above her castle fiercely, her mind just wanted to hold the MC in her arms. It seems she is pondering on going to the human realm, seeing it's where he resides. She is determined to offer everything she has as the demon lord to have streamer grant everything she wished. She suddenly opened a portal in the king's castle, introducing herself. The next morning arrives as the MC woke up. It seems a bit noisy today, but it seems the people were talking about the sudden news as the demons sent a non-aggression request calling it a ceasefire. It seems the demon king visited the king, making him lose his nerves, and agreed to a ceasefire. The town was in an uproar, exclaiming that the streamer was just talking about this and questioned how big of a man he is for the demon lord herself to listen. It seems his identity has become a very important figure by every country. It seems Kanata as the streamer was unaware as he gains even more fame than ever before. Later that day, as he was finished setting up something for his streaming setup, he is eager to tell his viewers about it later, but is starving, which he decided to head out. It seems he enjoys spending days off like this once in a while. As he was about to eat his snack, he suddenly heard a commotion which bothered his calming moment. A bunch of gang members was causing a ruckus and is causing trouble against a young lady trying to scam her of money. The MC finds this troublesome as there aren't any guards around to stop this commotion. Pondering if this world wants him to intervene intentionally, he finds this stuff to be a pain, but doing nothing is worse. He suddenly intervenes and called him out for acting like the victim. Hearing this made the scammer angry, but made him test his powers towards him. He suddenly held his arms like a powerful man, causing the scammer to run away and be scared for his life. The lady suddenly revealed herself, pondering about his voice sounding familiar. Kanata suddenly got worried if she was a listener, but brushed this off as the lady suddenly showed her powers, having the means to get rid of her scammer. She appreciated her kindness. It seems he was only helping a pretty girl like her, but she seems humble enough to exclaims that there are even more beautiful maiden like her out there. She suddenly noticed his hand having a bandage. It seems he got this while cleaning up yesterday and had a bruised, which he decided to bandage up. As they were about to part ways, he patted her head and made the situation awkward, but she seems not bothered by it. It seems he views her a little bit younger, but claims he shouldn't worried as her body is growing up just fine, giving him a little peek of tease. This made him to fumbled. As they parted ways, he finds her strange, pointing out if she was a sister in training, but doesn't ponder much about it. As the lady returned, it seems the news about the lady saint was wrapped up in a fraud attempt. It seems her identity as a saintess isn't widespread. It seems her presence is irreplaceable for the kingdom and is the key to negotiation with other countries. Afterwards, alone in her chamber, she finds the encounter earlier to be a good one on top of the bad one, and she finds his voice to be similar and alike, to the point of going back and forth between believing or not. Upon sitting down and finding out there is no one around her, she pulled out the radio listening device. She suddenly got excited hearing streamer's divine voice as he gets the stream up and ready once again. It seems this girl, even called the saintess, is also a Yandere listening of the MC. It seems she has her reasons for her slight insanity and likes the streamer's voice. It seems she is seen by those around her to be calm, but in reality she was crazy to the point that every single day she purify her body and is ready to offer her body and everything to streamer. Hearing his voice made her feel the oysters to reach heaven, but it seems streamer wanted to introduce something beforehand. Their magical devices suddenly showed an image of his hands. Seeing this made the saintess to not believe what she's seeing. It seems he unknowingly doxed himself to his viewers, but none other than a saintess whom he met earlier. As the streamer was showcasing his hands, it seems he was finishing it earlier in the morning to surprise them. It seems he ponders of wearing gloves to keep his identity hidden, but he isn't bothered as people won't find out just with his hands. The viewers suddenly went crazy over the sight of his hands and is in an uproar. He briefly explained that he was careless and had a fall of the bookshelves earlier. It seems seeing his hands made everyone riled up, but shortly after reading so many letters and finds the stream to be energetic, he was suddenly disgusted of the next letter. It seems it wasn't a normal one either. A gang leader of a group called Mantis suddenly finds him annoying and belittles him. They suddenly threaten to find him and put an end to his life, which made his viewers to suddenly go dark.
After reading this, he gave them the middle finger, and finds it troublesome as it's probably envy or just hate the MC's existence. He announced that people shouldn't threaten willingly as it could lead to consequence far greater than they could imagine. Unknown to Kanata, it seems his devoted listeners were already preparing to settle something. It seems his faithful listeners already have went into action dealing with the Mantis group, and shortly a few hours later everyone of that thief group was annihilated. The group leader is running with all his might. It seems he was spooked by their suddenly visit to him, finding the situation to be bad. But as he was running his foot suddenly went flying, as a knight claims they were just a bunch of weakling. It seems they caused so much trouble for them. Thus the Mantis leader met his end as the demons also watched from afar. The group of people that gathered to end his life seemingly was the believers of Streamer. It seems his words enraged them and passed judgment onto him early. It seems they were sent by their superiors to be dealt with, but is still pretty insane. This was both self-earned and sadly unfortunate for him, and served as an example of how scary is it online to boast something like a threat. A few days after this the news were scattered as the Mantis group was eliminated by the Royal Knights. The MC tries remembering this but doesn't seem to know much, although he tries to talk with his fellow classmates, but his words were ignored even though they were of the same social status, causing him to be in despair. After this it seems the teacher have an important announcement, and it seems it's a bit sudden, but a certain person will be joining their class. This made them overjoyed as the transfer student choose this class specifically. However, it seems this certain someone has never shown her face publicly and warns them to not be rude or anything.
The saintess suddenly introduced herself to the whole class, shocking the MC as they have met before, and ponders if this is a coincidence or not. The second episode will be soon uploaded as we continue more of the Yandere believers.